Hey, what's up guys? My name's Chad, and today is the day we get to take a look at the Starlight 12 Phantom from Finalmouse. There's a lot that's new here, there's some that's the same. We're gonna go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. Alright, let's check it out. So there's a few things that are different on this mouse, and one of the first things that really pops out at you is obviously the paint job here. The paint job on the Phantom looks amazing, and I think it's a much better design than the original Starlight 12s, but that's obviously just personal preference. The unboxing experience here is exactly the same as the original, so nothing really new there. My hand size is 19 by 11, and I went ahead and got the medium because I found like the small was a little bit too small for me, and I'm really surprised how similar the size and shape of this mouse are to the Viper Mini, which is actually the mouse that I usually main. I would say the main differences here from the Viper Mini are that it's a little bit wider at the grip in the middle, and the hump on the back is not quite as pronounced as the Viper Mini is. And you know, it's very, very similar in shape and size, but it's weird because I can't get as good of a grip on this mouse as I can the Viper Mini. And part of that I think is due to the holes on the mouse and then also the engraving on the button. And that's because I use a hybrid claw grip. I don't use a traditional claw grip, but if I do grip it with a claw grip, it does feel very, very nice and secure. So it's just kind of a thing with my grip not working out, but this mouse really works well for fingertip grip and claw grip. And I really feel like if I'm in my hybrid claw, it just pushes me down to a claw naturally. So it's kind of hard to get away from that one. The weight is coming in at a staggering 49 grams, and it just feels absolutely insane in game when you don't have a cable attached and you've got that crazy low weight. It really just gives you a lot of freedom and less arm fatigue. Another thing that's really impressive about this mouse is the battery life. And I've had this mouse for several weeks now, and I've only had to charge it one time, which is really phenomenal. I don't have any other mice that can even touch that in terms of battery life. The build quality here is better than my original Starlight 12 was, but unfortunately my copy still does have some creaking and flexing, and it's very slight, but it is enough to where I can feel it when I put my hand on the mouse. And it's kind of annoying and a little bit irritating, especially at this price point. So Finalmouse did decide to go with KL 8.0 switches on this mouse instead of the old Omrons that they had on the last one. And I think that was a really good decision. The clicks here feel much lighter, crispier, and just more tactile and more responsive in general. And that does depend on how you're holding the mouse though. If you're using the mouse with a regular fingertip grip or a claw grip, it feels amazing and the clicks are just fantastic. But if you choke up on the mouse and you kind of use like a hybrid claw grip like I do, the buttons feel a little bit harder to press, and it can affect your click feel and gameplay depending on how you're holding the mouse, so that's just something to take note of. Buttons 1 and 2 do have quite a bit of side play on them, and also kind of a surprising amount of pre-travel on both of them, but it doesn't really affect the click feel that much, so I wouldn't be too concerned about it, and I didn't feel the button wobble at all in game or anything like that. The side buttons here are also much better than the original mouse was. These feel nice and tight on the mouse, and there's no pre-travel, no post-travel. Like my side buttons are pretty much perfect, and it's really nice to see. They feel great. So moving on to the mouse wheel here, this thing is just straight up trash, guys. Like I gotta be honest, man. I've never had a mouse wheel this bad in the last like 30 years of using mice. Seriously, even my old WMO is like way better than this one, and that's really sad. But basically I get a lot of accidental inputs on this thing scrolling up and scrolling down, and if I'm just using the wheel like normal, it'll press down and actuate mouse 3. So this causes all kinds of functional problems, but it also just feels terrible in use. The best way I could describe this feeling is if you had a box fan and you stuck a broom in there and you could hear and feel that noise and vibration from it every time it hit a blade. That's what it feels like using this mouse wheel, and it makes it feel extremely cheap and like it's going to break at any minute. And I don't trust this scroll wheel at all. Like, it's terrible. Now that's sad. I'm not trying to bash the mouse. I wish it was better so I could use this mouse, but it's just really unusable for me. Like I need it for video editing, for browsing, for gaming. Like I rely on a scroll wheel that works. I think most people do too, so it's not asking too much just to get a wheel that works out of the factory. The other problem I have with my mouse is the DPI button is really crunchy and hard, and it feels like it's stuck in place almost. Now this is getting better over time, like the more I click it, the better it's feeling, so I'm not super worried about that anymore, but at first I thought I was gonna break the DPI button. It felt so bad. Okay, so moving on to the bottom of the mouse, we've got 4 PTFE feet here, and these are very, very nice quality, and they have a really good glide to them. Mine are kind of sharp feeling, but this doesn't actually catch on my mouse pads or anything like that. So nothing noticeable in game, nothing that I would worry about there. The feet are fantastic on this mouse. Also, we've got the on and off switch here, and then right in the middle of the mouse, we've got the final sensor, which I don't know if that's a 3370, I'm guessing it is. But either way, the sensor performance has been fantastic on this mouse, and I'm not concerned about that at all. Now, something that's cool here is they did decide to add 2mm liftoff distance. So if you feel like one is a little bit too shallow for you, you can bump it up to 2 by holding a combination of buttons when you turn the mouse on. The cable that's included is the same cable as before, and it's not a very good cable, but it really doesn't matter because the battery life is so insane on this mouse. You're not really going to be caught out having to play with the cable plugged in. So yeah, gameplay on this mouse, even with the flaws that it has, it's still freaking insane. There's just nothing like this mouse out there on the market. When I use my super light, I feel like I'm slow and it's heavy compared to this mouse. The weight is just ridiculous, and you can just put your hand wherever you want it on your mouse pad so quickly with so little resistance because the feet are great and the weight is nuts. You can just move around and track and flick and just do whatever you want to do. It's easy with this mouse as long as you can get a good grip on it. Like my grip doesn't really work, so my aim is not necessarily very good on this mouse, but I still managed to put up pretty good scores using this mouse just because the weight and the glide and everything is so good. Like I can still perform really well even though the shape isn't exactly great for me. So the retail price of this mouse is $200, and you can't get that anymore, so you have to go to a third-party seller like eBay, and you're gonna have to spend $250 to $275 on this mouse most likely. And for that price, I just can't recommend it with the problems I've encountered on my copy. Now, obviously, they're not all going to have that. That's just my experience. So if you're really interested in buying this mouse, I definitely recommend multiple reviews. And then, make an informed decision if you think it's worth it for you. I can't really tell you if it is or not because it's a lot of money and it is kind of a gamble with your money. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, leave a like and also consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next one.